Welcome back. Today we're going to be ranking every teammate for Aglaea. I'm going to try to make this video pretty quick, so if you have any questions, leave them below. Alright, starting off with the physical Trailblazer. They're just not good for Aglaea. They don't provide anything to Aglaea. Preservation Trailblazer, I will put them in average. They are an okay sustain through the main story. You wouldn't really bring them into any hard content. I'll just put them in average. The Harmony main characters I will put in bad. I don't think you would really be looking for a super break version. Now the Remembrance Trailblazers, I would put these probably in great. They're almost in OP. Arlon would not be very good. Asta, I think, is a good choice. If you're free to play and you don't have many 5 stars and you've pulled for Aglaea, I think Asta is great. She can boost the move speed of both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite, so that is a huge boost. And just in general, I think most supports have to go in average, not supports, sorry, healers should go in average or above. Branya, I will say she's in good. And Clara, there's no synergy there. Don Hang, no synergy. Japard, average as well. Most shielders, healers that are a little bit below average, I'm just going to put them in average because they still work for Aglaea and you can still make those teams kind of decent. Herta doesn't really work too great with her. Himiko, same thing. March 7th is the one sustain I would say is pretty terrible, because even if you shield Aglaea, it does not shield both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite. You'd have to select which one. And shields on Aglaea, because of how fast she is, they just run out very quickly. Natasha, average. Pella, I would say, is great. I'd say that because that defense shred with a character who is just as fast as Aglaea would work amazingly. So I would even say that if you're completely free to play or new to the game and Aglaea is your first character, if you have a Pella and an Asta, you can make a great team with those 3 and some sort of sustain. You know, your Bailu, your Natasha, your Lynx later. And so go on to Chingcha. She's very terrible for that team. Sampo, I would say he's somewhere in bad. He can provide some debuffs. You could give him a light cone that gives better debuffs for Aglaea specifically. Serval, also put terrible. Ting Yun, I think, would go in good. She can give a decent attack buff, an energy boost, but again, she can only target one or the other. I think that just doesn't quite put her in great, because you're either buffing Aglaea or you're buffing Aglaea's Memo Sprite. Welt, I think, would go in average. He has a debuff that gives everybody more damage dealt. And Yanqing, no. Silverwolf, I would put in good for sure. Locha, I would say, is great. He's definitely one of the best healers you can bring. Yukong, I'm going to put her in average. I believe if you speed tune everything perfectly, Aglaea doesn't use that many skill points, and if you're able to reset your characters well, Yukong is able to give an attack, crit rate, and crit damage boost to both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite. But in general, you would have to put a lot of effort into Yukong to make her good, but most Yukong players do put a lot of effort into making sure she works out good, so I'll put her in average. Blade doesn't really work. Kafka, I'm going to say that she's also in bad. You could give her some debuff light cone that, you know, buffs damage a little bit. Just going to, same. I feel like most Nihility characters, because they have access to different light cones that can apply debuffs, are not completely useless. Fu Xuan, I think would be in great. Lynx, I would say, is average. And terrible. You know, I'd say it average. Her buffs can work. I would say, you know what? I think people undervalue her, and she can definitely apply a lot of debuffs and can increase your damage pretty well. I think Hua is definitely in the OP tier because her heals work great, her energy recovery works great, and her attack buff works great. Everything works perfectly for Aglaea. And then Hanya, I would say she's an average. Her speed buffs can only target one or the other, and so I think it's just okay. I would say that Ron May would be in the OP tier. She gives a percentage speed boost to both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite, as well as some other buffs, so I think that just makes her very strong. Talk to ratio is not very good. You know, DOT characters don't really do all that much. Sparkle, I would say, is in the great tier. Her action advance only works on one or the other, but her ultimate provides large boost, and I think Sparkle just works really well. And then Acheron, no. Gallagher, I would say he is great. He's a very good healer. He'll keep your team alive. And this might be a little bit controversial, but I think Aventurine would just go in great, and this is because Aglaea's move speed is so high that it's hard to keep her shielded. Robin is extremely powerful. Robin gets the action advance, the attack boost, the crit damage boost. All of Robin's boosts apply to both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite. Jade actually does apply some buffs to the team. I would say Jade, I'd say goes in good. You know, for pure fiction, if you bring Jade with Aglaea, I think that's a team that would work very well. March 7th, I would also say is good. March 7th's buffs are gonna only target Aglaea herself and not her Memo Sprite, but it's still a pretty good damage boost all around. Xiaohu is a very strong debuffer. I would put him in OP tier. I think that his debuffs apply just a lot of damage for both Aglaea and her Memo Sprite. I would put Fei Xiao in bad. I think that there's some crossover because of how much Aglaea can attack that it'll make Fei Xiao's ultimate stack very quickly, but I don't think it's all that useful. Mose, I think, is actually great, especially if you have him E6. His skill that, you know, you have to deal damage so many times, you're able to deal so much damage, different instances of damage with Aglaea, that Mose will actually be doing a lot of damage himself and applying more damage to Aglaea. Lingsha is an amazing healer and semi-support that works great with Aglaea. Rappa does not do all that much. Sunday is most likely the best support for Aglaea. His action advance, his crit damage boost applies to both her and her Memo Sprite, so overall Sunday is incredibly powerful. And Oogway would be, I'd say, an average. Debuffs and buffs are both decent and can help out. Herda, you're not going to have another Erudition character. Aglaea herself, you know, she's OP for herself. Tribby, as a beta character, we don't exactly know how she's going to end up, but from the looks of things right now, it seems like she'll be pretty powerful, and I'll put her in great, and my day goes in terrible. That'll be all for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and thank you so much.